Good morning, everybody. So my name is Guido, and I'm director of Augmented Reality at Fuel.Tech, which is a technology company here in Houston. And what I'm going to talk about today is about the adoption of AR in the industry. So what I'm going to just introduce myself very briefly, and then Fuel.Tech, and then I will move to the adoption of AR in the industry and the challenges that we have right now. And then I will talk about very briefly about a few case studies that we developed in the last year. And so starting about me, I started working in the field of augmented reality in 2008. I was a student at that time at Politecnico di Milano in Italy. There I started my PhD, and in 2012 I came to the US to visit the Virtual Reality Application Center. Then in 2013, I finished my PhD. I started working in my academic career, but then in 2014, I decided to change, move to industry, and 2015, I moved here, and I joined Fuel.Tech. Fuel.Tech is an experiential technology company, and our mission is to help companies to better communicate and contextualize information by using new technologies. We started about 10 years ago, and we were working mainly on traditional media. And little by little, we evolved. We started having a lot of clients. We have more than 300 oil and gas clients. And little by little, as I said, we evolved from traditional media to new media like virtual reality and augmented reality. And what we saw during these years is that 3D media evolved, and they became richer and richer over time by integrating new technologies in it. Think about it. At the beginning, we used to have animation, just three-dimensional objects with animations, and you were able to run them on a mobile, on a PC, or on a web platform. But then, by integrating new technologies like immersive technologies became available, and then new interactive technologies, and then improvements in the networking to pull data faster and also transmit data, we start having virtual reality. And if we continue, think about new phones that now are very powerful, new immersive devices that are see-through, we start having augmented reality available for everybody. So we believe that augmented reality is a new type of 3D media, and what I'm going to show now is the adoption of this media in the industry. And I want to compare during this presentation what is going on in a little bit in the consumer market and in the industrial market, because they are pretty different. And actually, there is a different purpose between a consumer augmented reality application and an industrial augmented reality application. Think about the most famous consumer application. We are talking about Pokemon Go. We are talking about Snapchat. Their purpose is to entertain, while in the industry, augmented reality is a communication tool. And what are the benefits of having augmented reality in the industry? It's having information directly on the real object, so everything is contextualized, everything is locked in the environment. In this way, the information, since they are on the object, they are easy to understand than reading on a manual. And this leads to a less need of training, and in theory also no need of training, because you can just pull information and visualize them directly on the object when you need them. And another big benefit of using augmented reality is that it can be used as a replacement instead of using physical object, you can replace them with virtual in a lot of cases. So, as I previously said, augmented reality is a communication tool, and in the industry, we can see augmented reality used for different purposes. We can talk about marketing communication, we can talk about training, and then operation. And because of this, augmented reality can be used on different levels inside an organization. The there is the case of field workers. So we have this image of people with smart glasses walking in a facility and having all the information in real time in their field of view. This is an example, but then augmented reality can be used by managers and supervisors, can be used by engineers in their office, but can be also used on an executive level, and we will see some examples. So augmented reality, at this point, we can see that it's valuable for industry, and but in order to be adopted, we have to face some challenges. And I don't want to scare anybody saying, oh, when I say challenges, I'm not talking about things that right now are not impossible. I'm talking about things that now we know, we addressed, we solved, and now we just have to take into account. In other cases, are challenges that the community is facing and they are trying to solve right now, and then there are a few of them that are still open issues. Again, when you compare the industrial and the consumer market, you can see that the adoption of augmented reality is becoming kind of easy in the consumer sector. We have devices that are augmented reality ready. We talk about the new iPhone and a few other devices like Samsung. We have Microsoft Hololens. And then we also have platform specifically for these kind of devices. We have ARKit from Apple. We have ARCore from Google. But if we move to the industry, this is not enough. Adopting augmented reality in the industry means that we have to integrate augmented reality with other technologies that are already available in the industry. And at the same time, we need to follow some requirements about security, about the content that we are going to display, and about interaction and scalability. So first, security. When we think about any kind of company, they are very jealous about their data. And all the devices that they have are kind of locked, and we need authentication on hardware level, on a software level to unlock them. So if you think about a corporate laptop, we have several ways to do authentication. And most of the time, we have to work with multiple ways to authenticate in order to unlock the device. So we have password, we have smart cards, we have fingerprints, facial recognition, and also remote managers, where an admin can see which device is active and block eventually the device. But if we move to mobile devices, we have less options. We have, of course, password or gestures. We have fingerprint, and now we have also face recognition, but we all know that it's a new technology for mobile phones and it is not very reliable. But how about security on a wearable device? For sure, we cannot say a password, we cannot use face recognition, but there are other solutions. We can use, we can recognize the voice, we can use specific gestures, and then we have other solutions like using biometric data, using geofencing to block the device or use the device only on a specific area. And then again, we can think of having a security layer on the device and having a platform to manage to unlock or lock a specific device. What I want to say about security is that right now, for wearable in particular, there is not a specific solution. But what I will expect in the near future is that we will start having a massive production of IP in this sector. Regarding content, we are talking about visualizing text, that just normal descriptions, or text that is streamed directly from the network, if we think about visualizing data coming from an IoT device. We have traditional media, so we are talking about icons, we are talking about videos and images, and then models that come from CAD, so engineering models, that then we have to convert to visualize in augmented reality, and digital twins or point clouds. digital twins is a concept that a lot of companies right now are moving on, and it means to have a digital copy of their asset. For example, if you think about oil and gas, a lot of companies now are moving to have everything in a digital copy. And how do we manage this content? First, we need a content management system, and where all the content is there, and we can pull this content on the device. This means that the device must be able to dynamically load this content. And then again, we need to convert this content. When we talk about digital twins, we talk about point clouds and CAD models. Most of the time, you cannot just take the file and put it on the device. You need to convert it. The optimal solution is to have automatic converters. And to access this content, since we are talking about content management system, we need cloud solutions where an author can create some content, put it in the cloud, and make it available for all the other users. This means also need of connectivity, which in the consumer market is not a problem. We can go everywhere. We have LTE, we have Wi-Fi. In the industrial case, this is becoming less than an issue, but because a lot of companies are moving on having Wi-Fi and LTE everywhere, but since it was a problem. And now, content, again, another challenge is to register this content in the real environment. We have libraries out there that they can do an amazing job, and most of the time, we just need those for, let's say, 75%, 80% of the time. All the augmented reality libraries out there are perfect for the purpose. But when we move in the field of in the industrial field, sometimes we need some more sophistication, very specific tracking algorithms, because we are talking about objects that are three-dimensional, very complex, or objects with a reflection that is not, or with dirt that is not easy to recognize. So right now, there are new libraries that are able to deal with point clouds, able to deal with CAD models, so we can just upload a CAD model and the system is able to recognize the real object. And since I was mentioning digital twins, right now we are going to move to having everything digital, so we are talking about a lot of objects that we might have to recognize. In case of interaction, we have to take into account that the current industrial user has, he differs to the average consumer because he's in an environment that is completely different. We are talking about an environment that can be dangerous, and he has to deal with tools that are completely different. For example, he has to wear gloves, he has to deal, when he works, he has to deal with some tools, and now we are asking him to also deal with a mobile device or a wearable device. And at the same time, even if we develop a very usable application, we have to take into account that he has to learn new gesture and new habits. And if you think about traditional interaction, we talk about computer interaction with a mouse, with a keyboard. We talk about right now mobile device, so we have point and click interaction, we have tap interaction, but now with augmented reality and wearable, we are moving to a new way to interact. And it's a way to interact that is kind of with blurred boundaries. It's not very defined like when you use a mouse, when you use a tablet, because you have to deal with touch, gesture, and voice, and you can use these three components in different ways. And finally, scalability. Augmented reality, in order to be integrated in the industry, it has to take into account there is an industrial ecosystem and to be integrated with. And because of this, augmented reality must talk with other platforms. So we are talking about asset management system, we are talking about ERP system, and also IoT devices. And because of this, an augmented reality application must be flexible enough and modular to take into account all of these kind of components. Now, in this second part of the presentation, I just want to show a few case studies that we developed in the last year in order to show some of the challenges, what we did to face and solve these challenges. The first application is an application for marketing that we did for Schaefer. This is an augmented reality tool for sales. And for them, this makes a lot of sense because augmented reality can improve and can show selling points for their product. Their products are kind of complex. The selling points are inside the object. So with augmented reality, it's very easy to show what is going on inside their product. When I was talking about using augmented reality on executive level, I was referring to this application that we did in collaboration with ExxonMobil. This is sort of interacting 3D presentation where we can visualize some geological information by using Microsoft Hololens. And with this application, now it's very easy to see problems, geological problems in this case, and the executive that they use were able to then understand the problem better and then make decisions. Again, in collaboration with ExxonMobil, then we work on a solution for engineers where they were able to visualize their CAD models in the real world. And for them makes a lot of sense because they deal with, when they work on a new product, they have to deal with blueprints or CAD software, but they cannot see the object in the real world, and they cannot see it in scale or in the real scale, in full scale. And then we continue this the development of this application by integrating gesture, interaction, and making it collaborative. So multiple people, in this case, multiple engineers, can be in the same place, visualize the object placed in the environment in the same position, and interact all together. Last use case is about augmented reality for operation and training. And I'm going to talk briefly about Gnosis, which is an electronic procedure platform that we developed. This is a cloud solution where an author can create an electronic procedure. So he creates the content, he uploads the content to the Gnosis cloud, and then he can make this procedure available for all the users, then so they can download the procedure on their phone or on their mobile device. And every time they run the application, every time they run a specific procedure, the system generates log data that then are saved in the cloud. Augmented reality in Gnosis is one tool, and it's used to provide instruction like real in the real space, so just-in-time training. And at the same time, augmented reality is also used to provide information about warning, about safety issues, things to maybe avoid. Then Gnosis, we also port Gnosis on wearable devices. Like in this case, you can see Gnosis running on a HoloLens. So it's a straight port, and what you can see is that the user interface that we have on a normal mobile device is now floating in the space, and all the information about what to do are locked on the real object. Now, to conclude, what I want to recap are just the two main messages that I address in this presentation. The first one is that augmented reality, we believe that augmented reality is a communication tool for industry. And as a communication tool can be used on different levels inside an organization and for different purposes. And the second message is that we believe that in order to use augmented reality in the industry, an augmented reality application must fit inside the industrial technology ecosystem that is already available. And because of this, we have to take into consideration security, content, interaction, and scalability. And this is all. So thank you very much for the attention. And I'm now here if you have any questions.